dating until I was still in college, but I was like 20. I just turned 23, and actually I just finished. And we were even at the time I was like, well, we fell in love, and at the time I was like, oh well, how do you feel about children? Right? I was 23. It wasn't the top thing on my mind, and he was like, I don't want them, and I was like, isn't that a problem? But he was also my first love, so. And he was 22 or 23 or whatever. So I kind of let it sit. And
I can tell you your biggest problem in your relationships right now. How blunt do you want me to be? How much value do you want me to shoot across the internet here?
I like honesty.
All right. You are a terrible listener.
I know that.
Okay. How do I know that?
How do you know that? I don't know. Did I not listen to you, or was it an example from the conversation?
It's an example from the conversation.
I think I didn't want to hear at that time.
What didn't you want to hear?
That
At what time? I don't know what you're talking about. What does that mean?
You mean the conversation with my ex-husband?
No, the conversation that you and I just had over the last few minutes. How do I know you're a terrible listener based on that?
I don't know.
Okay, I gave you a definition of love, right?
Yeah.
And then you keep using this word as if I never gave you the definition.
No, I think that other than we had my ex-husband and I, like, other than the child issue, we had a very healthy relationship, and we were respectful of each other and kind, but we didn't have that passion. That's what I was trying to explain, is like, I'm trying to...
Wait. So your husband was a virtuous man, a good man?
Yeah, no, I mean, and we got along. Like, we were alike enough, but not too alike that we...
All right, so what happened? Why did you get divorced?
Because I want a family and he didn't.
Did he know that you want a family?
Yeah.
Of course he did, right? You told him.
From the first, like, couple months, yeah.
Okay, so this is another reason I know you're not a good listener, right? Because he said to you very early on in the relationship, I don't want kids.
Yeah, but he said, like, but maybe I'll change my mind. And that's the part I focused on, and I kind of, ignored the first part. Because, I don't know, like, the excuse I say is that he was my first love. I was 23. He was young. Like, most 22-year-old guys aren't...
Oh, so you're going to blame love for your failure to listen. The problem is not your failure to listen to a man who clearly stated that he didn't want kids and then said, well, but you're hot, so maybe I'll change my mind, right?
Yeah.
The problem is love, not your failure to listen or to find common ground with the man you married.
Well, I just really wanted it to work. I don't know. I thought we could make it work.
I understand that, but stop blaming love. The problem wasn't that it was my first love, and therefore I didn't listen. Well, if you weren't listening, then it wasn't love. That's my point, right? Now, he knew how much you wanted to have kids. How long were you guys married for?
We were married for 4 years.
And you got married in your mid-20s or early 20s? Oh, no, you said you just got divorced like a year and a half ago?
Yeah, so we got married, like, I think I was 29 or 30.
Oh, my God, are you kidding me? So you met him when you were 23?
Yeah.
And like 6 years later, you got married and you still hadn't worked out the kids thing.
Well, we were in a long-distance relationship for a while.
No, don't give me distance now as the excuse. I'm asking you the question. You were with this guy for 6 years.
Yeah.
You got married in your late 20s, and you still hadn't figured out the kids thing.
Yeah, I was really dumb to do that. I totally...
No, don't blame dumb. Don't blame distance. Don't blame love.
Oh, okay. Then...
This is, like, if you want me to help, at least as far as I can see how to help you, this was a decision. You made that decision trying to offload it on I was dumb, or it was love, or it was a long distance relationship, and so on. You got to own that decision if you want to change it, if you want to have something different, right?
Okay, I guess I don't see
you
different.
Pissed away your prime years of fertility.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
On a guy who openly said he didn't want to have kids.
Yeah, I did.
So how on earth is that possible?
Uh,
And I'm not trying to come down on you. Like I really need to understand this about you if I'm going to give you any useful feedback.
I was in grad school for 8 years during my 20s, or I think I.
Did he pay?
No, no, but it was
Okay,
just
good.
really
But how did you afford grad school?
I was in physics, so I worked in a lab, um,
All right.
and they paid me for the lab work.
All right.
I know how you feel
So
about me
you're smart, obviously very intelligent, right?
um, at math and science for sure.
All right. Well, let's see if we can stretch that definition for you a little bit tonight. Okay, so in your late 20s, you still wanted to have kids, and he still had not committed to having kids.
Yeah,
And what did your friends say?
that's the thing is, all of my friends like thought he would change his mind because he loves kids, he loves being around them, and he just seemed like, and I thought this too. That's why if I hadn't I really thought that he would change his mind. I To this day I hope he changes his mind and becomes a dad because I think he'd be an amazing dad and he would love it. But I couldn't keep waiting. But my friends all thought the same thing. They thought he would change his mind. Like most of my friends were shocked when I got divorced and he didn't like say, okay, wait, no, I changed my mind. I was just faking it, or whatever.
I mean, he really, really doesn't want to have children.
Yeah, so he just really doesn't, that's his life.
Now, when you first met him, he said he might change his mind. Did he still say that when you were going to get married?
Yeah, basically. We went through, at some point in grad school, we went through couples counseling. So there were like 2 or 3 times where he sent me the message that everything was going to be okay, and I focused on that.
I don't know. What message? You mean that he wanted kids?
I know I'm stupid to let this mean everything was going to be okay, but at the time, uh, I was stupid. That's okay. People can make mistakes. So when we were in couples counseling one time after our therapy session, he said to me something like, well, I'm going to do it for you in the end, or something. Like, we're going to, something like that was like, yeah, I'm putting up all this fuss now, but eventually I'll. So of course that's stupid. I shouldn't want to have a child with someone that is going to agree to have a child with me based on that, right? Like, who wants
Oh, wait.
that?
So did he say, I'm going to have children with you?
Yeah, but in a way, in a way that I shouldn't have even thought was positive. It was like, I'll give in eventually, or something like that. Like, who wants that to be the father of their child? Someone who gives in.
Well, you apparently.
Yeah, that was stupid.
Because so hang on. So he said, well, if you really corner me, like if you dig the condom out of the toilet and send it up there with a turkey baster, I guess I'll not kill the kid in its crib. And you're like, yeah, let's get married.
Yeah, it was. I feel like if I hadn't been in grad school, I would have been in a better place to not be so stupid. But I made so many dumb
Anyway, I don't
decisions.
understand. What does grad school have to do with it?
It was just
Now,
really.
is now the problem grad school and not your choices? Oh my God! I mean, you're one slippery salmon here, young lady.
Well, there, like, were you guys talking about insomnia in the last call too? I,
Yes.
I came in and out, but so I have insomnia, and it got really bad in grad school. So there was like 4 years where I wasn't really sleeping.
Well, of course
What?
you weren't sleeping. Do you know why?
Well, everything.
Because you were drowning your eggs in your womb
Yeah, probably.
by staying with a guy who wasn't into having kids.
Yeah, but I was just also the stress of like the work of it was like stress on all sides. So I kind of
No, I get it. Yeah, I
I
understand.
decided to not focus on that stress. Like when he gave me that message, I was like, okay, there's like a million stressors coming at me from all sides. And this one just gave me a message that said, you can ignore me. Even though it's not a good message, I was dumb and I ignored it for a while. And then finally, when I got out, I was like, okay, now we got to focus on this again. And then finally, when he came out and said, I don't want kids and I'm not going to change my mind, then I was like, okay, then it's over.
And when was that? That was 4 years into the marriage?
Yeah, so that was the end of 2012.
All right. So are you going to tell me that this fucking guy is so virtuous and such a great guy that he's going to string you along for approximately 11 years, if I get my math right. I'm not a physicist. He's going to string you along, dangling maybe kids, until it's almost too late for you to have children.
Yeah.
And then he's going to drop the no sperm bomb, right?
Yeah,
Are you going to try and sell this guy to me as a great guy?
well, he really messed up, and I don't think he's ever taken ownership of that. But I think he wanted to, like, he did love me, and he wanted to have kids with me. He wanted to make me happy. He wanted to change his mind. But in the end, that wasn't what he wanted. He was lying to himself to think that he could change his mind. So it's hard to get angry at him. Like, I was angry at him. I only recently let go of it because of the breakup I'm going through now, but I'm not really angry at him anymore because I know he loved me and he wanted me to be happy. And in the end, he said to me, like, you're a mom, you should pursue that. I mean, it all happened in the past. I can't, unless I find a time machine in my physics research, then I can't fix that. So, I mean, what can I do?
It's a great and fantastic way to not answer my question, but we already established that you're not the best listener in the known universe, so that's not too shocking, right? Although I am waiting for you to blame the Perseid meteor shower, the Northern Lights, and the Canadian band Rush for the problems in your relationships as well. But anyway, so I'm telling you that a great guy who really loves you doesn't spend 11 years of his life basically drying up your womb and not giving you children when it's the one thing you said at the beginning that you really, really want, right?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, no, if you want to know how to pick a right guy, you have to stop making excuses for your bad choices and your ex-husband's near criminal deception of your desperate ovaries.
It's true. I mean, I was angry at him for a while. It's just, I don't feel like it helped me to be angry at him. I don't know how I would, other than obviously not letting things go that long, like, or at this point, I won't date anyone who doesn't want kids. Although if you ask a guy,
Okay, but hang on. But how do you know that you really want children? Because I got to call potential bullshit on this.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because a woman who really wants kids, I don't know how you'd stay 11 years with a guy who is pretty negative about having kids.
I just really believed. I don't know. It was dumb. I don't know. I'm a real optimist, and I think that bit me in the butt,
I don't know what the it is. I mean, is like this happened to you or something?
Well, I just really believed that it was going to work out. Like, I shouldn't have. Like, I don't know. Like, optimism is not always the best thing when.
No, come on. You're a physicist. If you spent 11 years testing a theory that continually fails, are you an optimist?
Depending on the theory, I don't know. I mean, sometimes it takes a long time to, like, I'm trying to remember Jan Hall. Like, it took him maybe a decade or so to do the speed of light measurement they were doing. I don't know. I remember hearing stories about physics that takes that long. It takes an insane amount of patience.
Okay. All right. I mean, I understand that I used an analogy that probably wasn't hugely helpful.
Sorry.
But
and of course.
Okay. Let me put it this way: if I spend 11 years trying to get grant money from a person who says they're never going to fund my research,
yeah, that would be dumb.
Would I be like, well, no, I'm optimistic?
He didn't say
I'm optimistic.
He said, maybe I'll change my mind. And everyone I talked to was like, well, he's young. Like, I had an office mate in grad school who was older than me. And I was like, I talked to him a lot about it. And he said, you know what? Like, he knew he knew my ex-husband. And he said, you know what? When I was his age, I didn't want kids too. And now I really do. So, if you wait it out a little bit, like, you're in grad school, don't worry about it. Just wait it out. I mean, I don't know. Like, I shouldn't have done that, but it was just, I was too afraid to be alone because I had only been with him.
All right. Now we're starting to, and I appreciate that honesty, right?
Yeah.
Right. Now we're starting to get somewhere. right? It wasn't love. It wasn't insomnia. It wasn't that you were dumb. It wasn't grad school. It wasn't optimism. What was it?
Well, it was just that I was with him so long, I couldn't imagine life without him.
No. You just told me.
Uh,
You may not be the best listener in the world, but I think I'm pretty good.
I was.
You said to me, Stephanie, and I appreciate this call. I really do. And I hope that it's helpful for you. I'm sure it will be. You said to me, I was afraid of being alone.
Yeah.
So isn't that the real
Maybe
driver? Isn't this the dark matter in this conversation that we need to acknowledge?
Yeah. I mean, right now I'm afraid to be alone too, but a part of it is that I'm freaking 34 and I'm trying to find the right guy like pronto. So it's like,
well, I don't know that you're trying to find the right guy.
Yeah, well, I kind of
like, no, seriously, because you're obviously calling me because you think I have something useful to add to the conversation. And you're kind of giving me a lot of dodges and not listening.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to.
No, I'm not accusing. I never said maliciously or meanly. Like I'm not suggesting that. But when I said, like, because you want a good guy, right? I think I'm a good guy, right? So I'm just trying to give you this clear feedback because, if you're a female listener and a physicist, breed like the wind, breed like a bus full of horny Chinese people. I don't know what that means, but breed, fine. I mean, I'll help you. I want to help you to breed. But, if someone says to you, you're not listening to what I'm saying, then listen to that person saying that, right?
Mm-hmm.
What am I not listening to? How do you think I can listen better? And then really try to focus your mind on listening to that person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, because you just lost 11 years of fertility, and fertility starts to decline even after 25.
Yeah.
You lost 11 years of fertility by not listening, right? So if you want to change things, kind of do the opposite. So start really listening.
Yeah.
And that also means really taking responsibility and knowing why you did it. And you're coming up with a bunch of covers that don't make any sense, right? It was insomnia. It was grad school. It was love. It was, when my friends said that blah, 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 right? He said once in passing that maybe he might change his mind. But the truth is that I would imagine that the truth is really fundamental, which is that you were scared of being alone. And what if you learned about the effects of that fear?
I don't know.
It came true.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, you wish you could go back 11 years, slap yourself upside the head and say, look, it may be scary to be alone, but it's a hell of a lot less scary when you're 22 or 23 than it is when you're 34, right?
Seriously. Where's my time machine?
Well, right. But now, if you're late to the game, you've got to study up real quick, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if I've got a boxing match in 3 months, I got to spend 8 hours a day in the gym, right?
Yeah.
So this means really, so this fear of being alone, right? You were fearful of being alone, and you were fearful of not having children, right?
Yeah.
And what has happened when your eggs are starting to dry on the vine? You're alone and you don't have children.
Yep.
So that fear was
founded.
It became a self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Yeah. And it was
so I think that's
too.
really important. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, like, the best time for me to meet a new guy would have been when I started physics grad school, where I was one of 50 people with like 4 other girls, or like 4 girls total. Like,
oh God, yeah. I mean, nobody could ever sell to me that it's tough to meet guys when you're a young, attractive woman in a physics department. It's like, oh my God, isn't it tough to keep them away with tasers? You got to like throw Dungeons and Dragons dice off into the corner to have them run over there, right?
Well, what we say is the odds are good, but the goods are odd.
That's funny. That's funny. I think some physicists would be pretty good dads, but.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So Why were you so scared of being alone that you shot your eggs?
Well, I mean, I think part of it is that I just had a lot of trouble dating in my 20s when I was in college. Like, you know, some guys think that smart women are attractive, but in their early 20s in college, and you're at a party and you tell a guy you do physics, like, it's pretty quickly intimidating. I don't know. And I don't know if it's me or what. I just had a lot of trouble dating back then. I don't know. I found dating to be frustrating, annoying, and stupid. It's like it seemed like playing games. It's like, just okay, if you like me, say it. If I like you, I'll tell you. Why do we have to do all this stupid? I don't know. I'm not good at that like subtle girl stuff that other girls do. I'm like, just
Well, did you do that though? Did you, if you found a man attractive, did you just walk up to him and say, "Hey, I think you're attractive. Should we want to get a coffee?"
no, because at that time I didn't have the confidence to do that. But now I would do it. Like, now I don't really care. Like, I have the confidence that I don't. If some guy rejects me, it's not gonna like make me go into a room alone for the next month or whatever.
Right.
But when I was 20, like, I hadn't, like, now I have a PhD. I've done a lot in my life. I've accomplished a lot. I have a lot of self-confidence. But back then, like, well, I didn't really like think I was physically attractive. Um, B, I don't know. I just didn't have the confidence. I don't know then. So I think that's why I was afraid to be alone then. I don't know.
Because you felt that if you, I mean, trying to understand, I don't want to put words in your mouth, so obviously correct me if I go astray. But did you sort of feel like, okay, well, and this is a big conundrum for women. Like I really get this, which doesn't mean it applies to you, right? But this is sort of right. So if the woman feels passive in her dating, and most women do, like 90 to 95% at the most conservative estimate of dates are initiated by men, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you don't feel confident to attract a man, which is why I kind of asked about your mom at the beginning. If you don't feel confident to attract a man or to play whatever Southern Belle, Blanche Dubois, faint against the window flirtation voodoo that you feel is necessary to get a man to ask you out and so on, then you're in a very difficult position, right? Because if you can't attract a man
Yeah.
and you can't ask a man out, then you are going to be alone, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like, I mean, I actually talked about this with other people and with my ex-boyfriend, because I think he had somehow figured out some of that subtle, like, how to, I don't know, like, he would say, "Wow, like, a girl will like look at me a certain way, and then I know that she's interested." I'm like, "Whoa, what is that? How did I do that?" Like, I don't think that anyone would know that about the way I look at people. So I guess maybe they teach that in not physics class or something.
Well, I don't know how to answer that in particular. I've always been, I'll just ask a woman out if I feel that she's attractive to me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as a man, that's women want equality, but not everywhere, right? Not where it's really difficult a lot of times, right? So, I mean, it's great that you've got a PhD. I'm fantastic, and all that. And you felt confident enough to pursue that in your 20s, right?
Yeah. Well, I know
But
I was.
if you feel like you have to be this honey trap of incomprehensible Persian Shahrazad sexuality in order to get a man to approach you and can't approach him, then it's going to be a challenge if you feel it's a kind of like magic spell that you don't have, right?
Yeah, it's
So then you get some guy rather than face the anxiety of can I attract a man or will I then have the confidence to go and ask a man out, right? You're like, well, I'm just going to stay with this guy because this, I understand this is familiar and this is working, right? As well as it was.
that's probably why I was so afraid to end it, because I just hated dating so much when I was dating. But now that I dated a little, I actually like feel much better about it. I don't know if it's like guys in their 30s are not as like whatever. They weren't. at all. Like I dated maybe 10 guys before I met my boyfriend, and I felt like it went a lot better. Like they didn't get intimidated by me, and like I mean, I was dating online, so I didn't have to try to like somehow use the magic to get them to come talk to me or whatever.
Right.
Wait, and
Right.
what do you think about, cuz like I'm forward and honest, so to me I'm like I wouldn't mind, I would approach guys if I found them attractive or interesting, or I would ask a guy out now that I'm 34, like, why use stupid rules from the 50s? But then I know some people that are like, no, you have to like make them pursue you or they won't appreciate you or something. Do you think that's
Oh
BS or?
God, oh God, don't listen to idiots like that. Oh my God. Oh God, no, feminine wiles and shit like that. I mean,
That's
God
why.
Almighty, if you're not currently in a fucking whalebone corsage, don't listen to anybody
Okay,
like that.
that's what
You
I
know,
think.
this, you got to do this, and guys like that, and if you try this trick or you try that trick or you compliment them and then you insult them and you do this voodoo and then you get your voodoo doll and then you do a handstand and then you put one tit in your ear. I mean, Jesus Christ. You go up to a person and you say, "Hey, I find you very attractive. Would you like to go on a date? Would you like to have a coffee? Would you like to
Yeah.
get to know each other?"
Okay. Good, because that's
Right?
how
I mean, no, God, don't listen to these people who think, I mean, that's very insecure people who just won't put themselves front and center. And anybody who suggests that you manipulate your way into the start of a relationship is a completely dangerous human being.
Yeah.
Because if you manipulate yourself into the start of a relationship, there's either two possibilities. A, the person, I guess two possibilities. One, the person knows that you're being manipulative and is fine with it, which means that they're going to be manipulative too, which means the relationship is doomed. Or two, they know that you're being manipulative. They're not fine with it, in which case they won't react positively. The only thing worse than not hooking someone with manipulation is hooking someone with manipulation, because that's an even worse prize, right?
Okay, good, because I don't like even have one interest in being like that. So I'm glad we're on the same page.
Yeah, good. No, being upfront, direct, and honest is a great way of getting insecure, neurotic people as far the fuck away from your ovaries as they should be,
Yeah,
right?
that makes sense, right? Like if a guy can't handle me being forward and honest, like I don't even want him in my life. Screw that.